Today I'm going to show you how I created this Venom cake. I was asked by Sony to create something for their new upcoming movie, Venom: The Last Dance, and I found this really cool poster by Dolly, who's an incredible artist, and I wanted to create that in cake. So I'm going to start by cutting out the shape. So it's not a huge cake, this one. I used a template, so I printed out the poster and I cut it out to create a template. And we're just putting some buttercream in there. Now it's chocolate buttercream. It's quite a dark colour because I added food colouring and it's chocolate as well. So the first step is to cut out his mouth area, and then I'm going to cover the whole thing in this buttercream. I'm going to smooth it on the best I can and try go around the edges. Now the cake's pretty soft, so it did crumble a little bit when I was doing this. I'm going to smooth it over, try and get it as smooth as I can. Then we're going to get some red fondant rolled out. We're going to place this just in the mouth area. And we will add colour to it later to make it less vibrant. So I'm just smoothing it on, trying to push it into any creases and cracks that I've created. And then I'm just having a little look at my template to see the shape of the inside of the mouth. And we'll cut this extra bit off here. I could have probably done with going a little bit smoother on my buttercream, but I think for this design it's okay. We can get away without it being completely smooth. And then I'm going to push some indentations in. I couldn't decide whether to just paint on all the details so that it looks 3D even though it's not, or squeeze some in. So we've squeezed a few in. Okay, so we'll put a layer of white fondant on, go nice and thin for under where the eye is going to be. And then with the black, we're just going to put a little gap in where the mouth goes. And we'll just pull that over there. And it is just sticking to the buttercream because my buttercream isn't fully set yet. Just smooth it down and then cut off any extra from around the edges. I'm going to just put a few indentations in. Let's cut out this little bit here at the back of his mouth. So he's looking a bit weird at this stage still. But he will come together as we get a little bit further along with it. A few more indentations. Now you have to press these in before the fondant starts firming up too much because it was starting to get a little bit harder. It's pretty cold in my kitchen while I was making this one. And when it's cold, my fondant does want to go really hard, really quite quickly. Okay, a few little indentations where his teeth are going to go. And I've cut out a template for the eye, and then I'm going to cut out the eye area to reveal the white underneath. I wish I'd gone a little bit thinner with the black fondant though, it's a little bit chunky around the eye area. And then I just tried to kind of drag bits into the eye, although that ended up a little bit scruffier than I was planning. But now the best part, the tongue, so just a long piece of red fondant. I know not everybody enjoys eating fondant. My sister actually ate most of the fondant, she really enjoys eating fondant. I don't, but she does. Okay, so now the details. So I'm going to paint on with some edible food colours all the details. So I was looking at the poster by Dolly, and that's going to help me know where I should paint a little bit darker, where it needs shading. So some around the eye, plenty on the tongue and the mouth. And then we're also going to add some white as well, so we need to add the highlights as well as the shaded areas. And I keep going backwards and forwards between the two, but that's fine. Then I'm going to add the teeth. So I've added the teeth after, just so that I didn't catch them with the other colour that I was painting in. Although I then realised later that I just added the same black colour to the teeth a bit later on anyway. And I nearly forgot to paint on the slava detail. Is that what you call it? Saliva? The gross bits. Then I'm going to take some isomalt and we're going to make more bits of saliva. But this time in isomalt. So we're just going to pour it out, and it stretches to go like gross looking, and it doesn't take too long to set, but if you are using isomalt, be careful, it is very hot until it's set. But once it's set, you can peel it off and we can put it around the tongue. And I think this is really effective. And I put the whole thing just on a cake board. I thought this white cake board was actually ideal because it was a rectangle, which kind of matched with the poster shape. So I've got more Isomalt. This time I've added some black food colouring to it. And then we want to drip it on. Just so it kind of creates this splatter effect. Again, wait while it dries before you touch it. Or sets. I should say sets rather than dries. Then I'm going to add some shading to the teeth. So I've added shading to the back teeth without adding the front teeth, just because I thought I would accidentally knock those off if I shaded the back ones after the front ones were added. So the front ones then can all go in. I don't know how many teeth he's got. I feel like I added a lot of teeth. And then we're just going to add some more black pieces of fondant in here. Now I was going to use the Isomalt for this bit between like his mouth in black, but because it sets hard and it's not flexible once it's set, I couldn't get them to the exact right size, so we're going to use fondant. Then we're going to start painting the black area of his face and neck, and this is going to make a huge difference to what he looks like. Again, I'm just using the edible food colours. You see, sometimes I use them wet for painting, so like when I'm doing the shadows, especially on the teeth, and that's just diluted with dipping solution, which is like a food grade alcohol. It kind of evaporates and then it dries pretty quick. And then some areas we're using it dry. And then also I've just got black edible pen just to try and darken the black a little bit. Also just going to use that just to go around the very ends of the teeth with as well. And if it's too much of a straight line or an obvious line from the pen, you can just take a slightly damp brush and drag that through it, and that'll stop the line being as obvious. Start blending it out a bit. So we're going to add some powder colour up to the eye. I've actually gone for a hint of blue in there. There we go. You can see me using a wet brush to drag out that line of the edible pen. Then some more white lines. So I'm going to go for a sort of thicker mixed white so it looks a little bit brighter. Let's catch the ends of some of the teeth and then any areas of his face that want to look really shiny. Let's add more of the Isomalt. This time we want it to look like, you know, it's stringy saliva. Am I the only person that says slava? Probably am. Okay, next the horse. We want to make the horse that he turns into. And I haven't seen the movie yet, so it's actually out in cinemas today. So if I get some time off this evening, I'm going to go and give this film a watch. I'm a big Tom Hardy fan. Okay, let's add a tiny bit of blue to the back and a bit of red to the underneath. You'll notice I swap brushes as well, depending on what I'm doing, what areas I'm shading, what kind of effect I want, as to whether I use a thin, pointy brush or whether I use a big, fat, soft, fluffy brush. Or usually that's for the dry dusting that I'll use a flat, fluffy brush for. I think it really does make a difference to your cakes when you add the shading or the painted details on. And I could have made some more Isomalt, but I got lazy and didn't want to melt anymore, so I'm just going to paint these extra details on. And then I thought he's missing a shine, so I just used a mister that I use for like my wafer paper to add a small amount of water. You can use a steamer as well. It just gives him a little bit more of a shine to finish him off. There it is, the poster designed by Dolly and made in cake by me. Hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Don't forget to check out my other videos and let me know if you've been to see the movie and if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to like and subscribe, of course. See you next time. And if anyone's wondering, I didn't bite the cake. I just used a cookie cutter to create a bite mark effect each time, and then I actually kept the cake and ate most of that myself.